East Lynne is an English sensation novel of 1861 by Ellen Wood, a Victorian bestseller. It is remembered chiefly for its elaborate and implausible plot, centering on infidelity and double identities. There have been numerous stage and film adaptations. The much-quoted line, "Gone, and never call me mother," quote, variant, "Dead, dead, and never call me mother," quote, does not appear in the book. Both variants come from later stage adaptations. The book was originally serialized in the New Monthly magazine between January 1860 and September 1861, being issued as a 3-volume novel on the 19th of September 1861. Plot summary. Lady Isabel Carlyle, a beautiful and refined young woman, leaves her hard-working lawyer husband, Carlyle, and her infant children to elope with an aristocratic suitor, Francis Levison. After wrongfully suspecting and becoming jealous of her husband's friendship with Barbara Hare. However, once abroad with Levison, she realizes he has no intention of marrying her, despite her having borne their illegitimate child. He deserts her. Lady Isabel is disfigured in a train accident and the child is killed. Following this, Isabel is able to take the position of governess in the household of her former husband and his new wife, allowing her to be close to her children, but which also becomes a source of great misery. The pressure of keeping up a facade and being constantly reminded that her husband has moved on eventually physically weakens her. On her deathbed, she tells all to Carlyle, who forgives her. Adaptations. East Lynne has been adapted for the stage many times. The play was so popular that stock companies put on a performance whenever they needed guaranteed revenue. The play was staged so often that critic Sally Mitchell estimates some version was seen by audiences in either England or North America every week for over 40 years. The novel was first staged as Edith, or the Earl's Daughter in New York in 1861 and under its own name on 26 January 1863 in Brooklyn. By March of that year, 3 competing versions were drawing crowds to New York theaters. The most successful version was written by Clifton W. Taylor for actress Lucille Weston, who was paid $350 a night for her performance as Isabel Vane. Weston starred in East Lynne for the next 10 years. At least 9 adaptations were made in all, not including plays such as The Marriage Bells that used a different title for the sake of some copyright protection. Quote, there have been many silent film versions of the book, including a 1913 film. Another, starring Theda Bara, was made in 1916. And there was an Australian film 6 years later. In 1925, another version reached the screen which starred Alma Rubins, Edmund Lowe, Lou Tellegen and Leslie Fenton. In 1931, a comedy film, East Lynne on the Western Front, was made in which British soldiers fighting in the World War I stage a burlesque version of the story. 1931 film. A film version of East Lynne was nominated for the Academy Award for Best Picture in 1931. The movie was adapted from the novel by Tom Barry and Bradley King and directed by Frank Lloyd. The film is a melodrama starring Anne Harding, Clive Brook, Conrad Nagel and Cecilia Loftus. Only one copy of the film is known to exist. In the 1970s, a TV dramatization was broadcast from the City Varieties Theatre in Leeds, with the audience all in Victorian costume and Queen Victoria in the royal box. The famous TV host of The Good Old Days, Leonard Sachs, was present to introduce the proceedings. The story has been refilmed as recently as 1982. In a star-studded BBC made-for-television production starring amongst many others Martin Shaw, Gemma Craven, Lisa Eichhorn, Jane Asher, Annette Crosbie and Tim Woodward. 1952 film. The 1952 film Tayalam is a Tamil-language adaptation of East Lynne. Critical assessment. Some critics argue that the novel champions middle classes over the lower orders. Others, however, find this claim too simplistic, and argue that the novel highlights the shortfalls inherent to bourgeois masculinity. Sally Mitchell argues that the novel simultaneously upholds and undermines middle-class values. Notes: Grilly, Georgia. In Volo. Dietro Porter. Mary Poppins e Pamela Lyndon Travers. Società Editrice Il Ponte Vecchio. Cesena 1997. Ristampa 2002. 179–182. Hughes, Winifred. The Maniac in the Cellar. Sensation Novels of the 1860s. Princeton. Princeton University Press. 1980. Mangum, Andrew. Violent Women and Sensation Fiction. Crime, Medicine and Victorian Popular Culture. Hampshire and New York. Palgrave Macmillan. 2007. Mitchell, Sally. Introduction. East Lynne. 1861. Reprint. New Jersey. Rutgers University Press. 1984. Pikett, Lynne. The Improper Feminine. The Women's Sensation Novel and the New Woman Writing. London and New York. Routledge. 1992. Rosenman, Ellen. Mimics Oros. Masochism and the Gendering of Pain in Victorian Melodrama. Studies in the Novel 35. March 2003. 22–43. Trod, Anthea. Domestic Crime in the Victorian Novel. New York. St. Martin's Press. 1989. Wynne, Deborah. The Sensation Novel and the Victorian Family Magazine. Hampshire and New York. Palgrave Macmillan. 2001. East Lynne at Project Gutenberg. East Lynne Public Domain audiobook at LibriVox. Review of a recent printing of East Lynne in the London Review of Books. East Lynne. 1982. At the Internet Movie Database.